Yeah.
There we go. Still can't get it working on my X.
Oh,
Welcome, everybody. What's happening?
all right. What's going on?
Cash, what are we doing? What are we doing right now? Why are
Well,
we
really,
here?
we're just doing a prelude to the show that's going to be coming on later. Then we're going to go live again. Like this one, we're just telling you that we're going to be going live and what we're going to be talking about. Touch on a little bit right now, but we're going to save it for later.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking tonight more about the VP pick. JD Vance has been selected. Big news. Although he was, which I found it odd. Like people know things. He was the Vegas favorite. When you look at the odds makers, they bet on who's going to be the VP. He was the favorite as of about a month ago. He took the lead. So clearly they know stuff that we don't know.
Do you remember in 2020? I couldn't stand JD Vance. I was actually pretty hard on him and against him because
I
of
didn't
his
know that.
comments that he, yeah, man, you don't remember us going live and me like just dissing him because I'm like, yo, this dude's fake. He's a rhino. And I was going in on him because of all the statements that he made against Trump in 2020 or
I don't even remember that, to be totally honest.
2016. Yeah.
Do not remember.
Yeah. So but I find it interesting that he is because I ended up, growing to I guess like him a bit more after I seen his policies and things that he was doing in Ohio and the stances that he was taking. And for me, I think of it as kind of like a redemption thing, like it shows the unity, like how people can excuse me, how people can change their mind and become better.
Well, I mean, I think it's key that the fact is that, that's why I like Ted Cruz so much too, is they've been able to bury the hatchet. But you look at the fact that JD Vance, well, I mean, he's been a Trumper for a bit, but he didn't start out that way. And I think it's
Definitely
key that
did not. Yeah,
as much as I am not a huge fan of the pick, because I think there's psychological issues we have in this country for the white middle class, independent, left leaning liberal. That they're not going to love the idea of two white guys. But I do think strategically, based on where it was in the country, you're looking at Ohio, you need to make sure you carry Ohio, Pennsylvania, that area. I think that there is a lot of reasons why he chose JD Vance. Also, his age, being young. There's not a lot of things against him. I think there's some pros and cons to this.
Well, I think it also could be like he wasn't like a super staunch conservative.
True.
So that like leans other young voters that may be Democrats towards a JD Vance.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So,
and then of course you've got the big, it's funny, it's being pushed on the side. Like this is pretty big news that the judges dismissed the classified documents case against Donald Trump. So again, all of these indictments that the left is using, granted, they do have 34 guilty counts, felony counts, that is, they can still say that they got him. But in the instance of the classified documents case, which was the original, the one where his house was stormed, in a 93-page ruling, District Judge Aileen Cannon said the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith violated the Constitution. So now you're showing that the Department of Justice, the justice system, is violating the Constitution against a previous president. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And then we're also going to talk about a little bit more about the whole, I'm going to call it an assassination attempt at this point.
It is an assassination attempt.
Yeah. So talk about that a little bit more later on today when we come back. But yeah, shout out to JD Vance, man. I feel like it's a good pick.
Kim loves your hair. Kim Whitaker loves your hair.
Oh, thank you. You know what it is? This is beach hair right here. Came back from the beach, took a shower, and I'm like, I'm not gonna wash it. I like it. It's like,
why did you have to? I mean, it's not like you people get in the water. So why did you have to wash your hair?
I like how you did the you people. You're just trying to be super controversial today. I got you. Spicy. All right, cracker.
At least I can swim. Anyways.
Oh man, it's good.
Does you look like a? What's the tree I'm thinking of? Where the pineapples fall off of the
pineapples. Pineapples grow.
No, sorry, coconuts.
In the ground.
Coconuts. What am I thinking of? What's the trees?
Did you hear me? Pineapples grow in the ground, bro.
What's the tree that I'm thinking of right now? Why can I not think of the name of this tree?
I don't know. Coconut tree? A palm tree?
Palm tree. Oh, you look like a palm tree.
Look at that. Mr. White Man, uneducated. Look at you. You're a liberal.
I just realized my microphone's way the hell up.
Oh, man.
But the teaser that I'm going to give maybe about later, I am not as, I've heard you guys talk about the uniting thing.
Yeah.
And I agree with it to a point. At the same time, and it's funny, like I almost felt validated when I've listened to about half of Steven Crowder's yesterday. Like part of me is at the point where I'm happy that Trump's message is uniting. I think that that's key. I think that really makes him look really good right now. As an individual, I think there's a level of responsibility to keep the temperature low. But we've kept the temperature low for so long now that I have trouble not being angry. I have trouble when there is the people on the left that are still saying like, well, he deserved it, or his rhetoric got us here, which is
Yeah,
complete
but what
lies
are
and
words?
fabrication.
Her
I get
words.
angry.
I get it. I understand, but that's because you got feminine ways about you. You know, I don't get bothered by that. Let them have their opinion. I don't care. Fuck their opinion. You
But
know,
let it
it's
but
just this. You can't let it divide you, bro. You
it
can't.
doesn't divide me. What
Listen,
it does make me it pushes me. What's the DEFCON level? It pushes me one step closer to what could potentially be the inevitable in this country.
don't push me, cause
Because
I'm
I'm
close
close
to
to
the
the edge.
edge.
I'm
I'm
trying.
trying not to lose my head.
Ha
Trump
ha ha ha
24.
ha. What did you say for the Trump part?
Trump 24.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
No, but I understand what you mean, bro, right? But this is my thing. I shared a video today. Did you see the reel?
Do you realize I've been gone for 31 days? Do you know how much backed up work I have?
Whatever. I know you don't
Why don't we
support any
watch
of
the
my
reel
stuff.
right now, Cash?
Okay. But it was a chick that was a liberal, and she was out there heavy against Trump. Big old Trump sign, never Trumper, right? And she came out and she's supporting Trump and believes everything good about Trump now. And she showed like the compare and contrast from her before to her now and how she upgraded her level of thought. So if she can do it and I can do it, then anybody can do it. And I have that optimism when I talk, because I talk to a lot of people that are Democrat. A lot of my friends, they're never Trumpers. Well, acquaintances are never Trumpers, but we get along. We get along. And I got faith that as they keep on watching my stuff or digging into the things that really matter, the issues, and looking at policy and looking at the way that the media is, I'm optimistic that they're going to come around and be like, damn, you know what? This is right. This, what they said was wrong over here. So this is the truth. Oh, damn. Maybe I should be listening to these guys a little bit
Really
more.
think at this point, you really
Yeah.
think at this point, after people have continued to take the information that is in front of them and misconstrue it and twist it, and now again, I'm okay with people that are still that are peaceful, that are like, I'm very glad nothing happened to them. Like Cubans, Mark Cuban's brother, Brian Cuban, who I typically can't stand. He is an far leftist, but he is at the same time being like, this is not a time to celebrate. This like he's being very serious about the situation. Him and I can disagree on political beliefs, and I'm okay with that right now. The people that are right now doing the I'm glad nothing happened to him,
Gays?
but I see what you did there. The people that are going, I'm glad he did not die. I'm glad, I don't believe in political violence, but he is the guy that had the rhetoric. He is the guy that started this. This is the call for, banning
I
of big R's.
understand. I agree.
Those are the people that will not change. They
Maybe
won't.
they won't. Maybe they won't. But I'm optimistic that they will. I'm optimistic because here's the thing, right? Not to tie God into everything, but you think about it, right? Every single human being on this planet has an essence of God inside of them. That's the only reason why they're alive. You know what I'm saying? God breathed the breath of life into Adam, as it says in the scriptures. You know, if you want to go to the Quran, it's the same thing. If you want to go into the Torah, same thing, right? All these in Buddhism, all of it is everybody's connected, right? So everybody in essence comes from God. So that means that everybody has at least a little bit of good because God is good. So if that little bit of good is there, then there's always the chance that then people can change. That's how I like to look at people. Now, there's some shitty people out there. No, I take that back. There are some people that do some shitty things.
I think there's shitty people out there.
I think that there's people that do shitty things, and I don't think that people in general are shitty. I think that circumstances lead people to do shitty things and believe shit values and have just the shit morality. That's what I believe. You know what I'm saying? So everybody can change, bro. Everybody. There's not one person in this world that can't change. So, I mean, Yeah, I feel what you mean. I understand. It's just that you can't see that their ignorance is not really their fault. You know, you got a lot of people that are raised on the TV.
It's
Depending on the
not their
type of
fault.
parents you had, you were watching the news all the time, shaping your beliefs. Then you probably went to a public school, and the people around you believe the same shit. And this is just your environment. That's where the term product of your environment comes. So then when you become an adult, you don't know how to critically think. You have everybody that's been doing the thinking for you for so long, you can't critically think about shit. So you're stuck in this reality that's false.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it's the same as people that go through trauma. It's not necessarily their fault why they believe the way that they do, but it is their responsibility to start using their fucking brains.
But how do they know that? You know that. I
But
didn't know that at
but
one point.
but there's a lot of people like us, and there is it's difficult. There is people that, and I'm talking again, I'm not talking about somebody that only watches MSNBC and CNN and they're brainwashed, whatever. The people that will come to my personal page or come to our shows or come and still continue to troll, those people no longer provide value, I believe, to this world. I have to say that. It sounds terrible. But
Got a
the people
question.
that we have been, hold on, the people that we have given the opportunity to see logic and reason. And again, I'm not always wrong, or I'm not always right, I should say. I'm not always right. But fact is, the fact that they can't see outside of their bubble. I've made a lot of changes in my beliefs, but they can't see outside of it specifically to get to the crescendo that was an assassination attempt, where Joe Biden would even call an assassination attempt, and at the same time realize where we are, and they can't see that. I don't think there's hope for those people.
Okay. Now, I got a question. If you have a dog, right? And this is a good dog. But there's just some fucking people that this dog doesn't like. This dog goes out one day and bites a kid because the kid and the dog was trained, right? But the kid was doing something that the dog is trained to bite this kid if he does it, or any person that does this, right? And that dog that's yours, and you know it's a good dog, bites that damn kid. You gonna put that dog down?
What did the kid do to incite it?
I don't know. Maybe the kid had a plastic gun, and your dog thought it was a real gun because your dog is trained to attack people with guns.
Well, the kid caused it for his
But he
stupidity.
had a plastic gun though. The kid wasn't doing nothing wrong. He was just outside playing cops and robbers. The question: are you going to put that dog down?
No.
No, because you know that dog is good and it was just doing what it was trained to do. Whereas all the media is going to portray that dog to be a killer and a menace to society, and it needs to be put down. It's probably even the vet.
Well, that you're
and the
outlining.
parents.
You're outlining the same issue with the media narrative. They're not going to explain the fact there is a nuance. The
But my
media
point
stays
is,
away from nuance. They see a black man killed by a police officer, no matter if he was doing something wrong or not, and it becomes one story. So
right?
this kid was doing something, and maybe there was an innocence to the kid,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he incited it.
But the whole
Now,
point is the dog isn't bad. The dog did something that was bad in the eyes of everybody else around it, except for people who know how dogs are trained to do things like this. They understand.
okay.
Right? Okay. So you're not willing to put that dog down. Don't put down these whack ass liberals out here that got crazy ass mentalities that are only doing what they've been trained to do.
Well, I'm not putting them down. I'm disassociating myself. The same choice that I would have, say I was a neighbor that, heard a story about the dog. And again, I find it a false equivalency. I see your point, but it's a false equivalency in my opinion, when you're comparing the brain of a dog to the brain of a human, where you can't actually have the nuance.
But the type of human I was comparing it to is pretty accurate.
That I can understand. The fact is, at the end of the day, I have the choice to separate myself. I'm not saying that liberals should be put down like a rabid dog. I think that there is a point where, when it comes now in person, I will have the conversation. I think everything is better in person. But when it comes to social media, and this is why I post on my personal page, like, if you're under the impression that there's a butt in this assassination attempt, I need to clean out my friend list. And I stand by that. There's just no point anymore. Like, I don't need, and they're like, well, don't give up the fight. I go, for 4 years, I've had this existential fight where we have the conversation and I invite the conversation. But because of this, the bravado they have behind the computer screen and the inability to have a conversation, I just don't need that stress anymore.
Did you just say butt assassin?
Butt assassin. I didn't even realize it. Maybe I did.
That was good. But no, I like I say, I feel where you're coming from, bro. But I mean, I look at them like, I don't know, like people that aren't people yet. You know what I'm saying? That's how I kind of look at it. They're like, you have adults and then you have children, and then you have children that got no upbringing. You know what I'm saying? And it's
I
like
thought you were saying they were still in the womb, because then we could have a whole pro-choice, pro-life debate.
but you get what I mean. They're
Yeah.
like their level of thinking. So with all of that, with you knowing you and how far we've come and all this thing, the greater responsibility and the burden lies upon you, not to engage them the same way that they engage us. And that's my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless they touch me, now you touch me and you're gonna catch the worst ass whooping of your life. Guaranteed. That's just me. That's who I am. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't like when people touch me. I could take any kind of insult. You say whatever you want, just don't touch me, because then I gotta whoop your ass. And I'm on probation right now, and I can't afford to go back to prison. I don't think I would for an ass whooping, but still, don't want to take the chance. So just don't touch me. But other than that, the words, bro, like they got words. That's all they got. That's it. That's all they got is words. And then sometimes, like school shooters, but that's rare. Like what happened with Trump the other day with the dude. That's a rare occurrence, very rare occurrence. And there's a lot of them that ain't like them. They just have been adopted this mentality of liberal is the best way, and we have to save black people because it's our duty because of our white guilt. And and I can understand it because of the history that they read. Because of the history that they read, they feel this way. They're like, yo, I don't want to be somebody like them. And I get that. They want to disassociate themselves from white masters that they never met. You know what I'm saying? I get it because they've adopted it. It's just like how when I was 14, I adopted I got to have this angry black man mentality because of slavery. It was so bad. And these colonizing motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, but I grew past it. Hopefully they can grow past it and be like, yo, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't apologizing to this asshole who wants me to kiss his feet. You know what I'm saying? And that's the true thing that's happening right now. You got people that the Hebrew Israelites, kiss my feet, white man, white woman, or you're going to be slaves when Jesus comes back. That's a real thing that happens. And you got white people to get down and they literally kiss the feet of these dudes, man. So it all comes just to a level of the brain. Some people.
Yeah, you say that it's just words, and I do agree with you to a point when it comes to the social media world. But now that we have had a assassination attempt on Trump, where they're almost victim blaming it on Trump, when you look at the violence over the last however many years, few years, the actual physical violence. I mean, there's the guy that got the look, there's a Trump supporter and he got shot and killed in the streets in Portland, Seattle, wherever the hell that was. I think it's gone past the computer screens, and the level of the temperature is at a very high level from their side of the room. And it's to the point where it's like, there's only so much peace and calm we can have, to the point where, like, right now, like, I mean, if somebody confronts me, I know I can't be the first to punch, but I sure as shit, I'm not going to hold my temper and push and not punch back.
It's all because, like I say, bro, it's this fucking conditioning. When people have a different understanding of history, they look into it themselves. Like I've been looking over this shit from the 1600s, right? You know how they like to use the 1619 project and the first slave ship and all that shit, right? But did you know, this is a fact, and everybody that's watching this right now, you can look this up. This is a fact. Did you know that in the 1600s, 17th century, that the vast majority of slaves and indentured servants in America were Englishmen, Irish, Portuguese, and Scottish? There was also Africans, but the vast majority of them was English. They were so-called white. This is before the term white was invented. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. So the only people who were considered to be white, which was a status, not a color at the time, was the elite. So then we get into Bacon's Rebellion. See, and at this time, before Bacon's Rebellion, did you know that a white person and a black person, or a free person and a slave, or however you want to, they can all get married? There was no racial. They didn't care if you married.
What are we talking? What
the 1600s?
1600. Okay.
You had freed European women marrying African slaves or indentured servants and having families, which is what led the lawmakers, the colonial lawmakers of the time, to create the anti-miscegenation law, which prohibited freed women, white European women, only European, okay, from marrying anybody that wasn't a white man. This is when the first law came in, the separating race or color.
And where was that done?
In Maryland.
So it was in the United States. It was in the
this is all right here, Jamestown, all that shit. This is in the colonies.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then the first time that you will see the word white in law is in 1664. 1664. I wrote it down. Did I write it down? Somewhere. No, I didn't write it down. It was in like 1664, I believe, or 1684. Something like that.
It was in the late 1600s, second half of the 1600s. Okay.
17th century, 1600s, legal. 1664.
There you go.
It was in 1664. Man, I love my brain. It just works good, bro. You know, that's pretty cool. But yeah, 1664 was the first time that you will ever see it written into law like that. And it also created a new social class, because before Bacon's Rebellion, and during Bacon's Rebellion, which people that know about Bacon's Rebellion was what? The white and black and native people that came together to fight against the elite, because they were creating harsher laws, because there was no more influx of British or English indentured servants and slaves. So they were creating harsher punishments for the laws that were already in existence to keep people in servitude, to keep white people in servitude for longer, because at first it was just a contract. There was also perpetual slavery at the time. Don't get it twisted. But there was also indentured servitude. And another thing that is not talked about, and this is why history is important, but at that time, before Bacon's Rebellion, it wasn't only white people that had slaves. You had freed African, so-called African. You had freed natives and freed whites that all owned slaves. But we only learn about the European, the colonizer.
So why is this important?
It's important because you got a whole bunch of things that get put out in the media to make it black feel they have to be angry at white because of slavery. This is really one of the biggest talking points of the liberals. This is what makes them have so much ground. Why so many liberal whites want to defend blacks, because they feel that they were victims. And not to say that black people at that time weren't victims, they were, you know what I'm saying? But we ain't there. And you can't, and the whole reparations discussion. How you gonna, what black families that come from the slave masters of black slave owners are gonna pay reparations? And how come you're charging Americans with reparations that aren't no longer alive? You know what I'm saying? The shit goes deep. How come the natives ain't got to pay reparations for the people that they had enslaved? There was a bunch of native slave owners. They're not talked about. It's always geared towards white and black. And this is the whole point of this. When Bacon's Rebellion happened, they said we ain't never going to have this shit happen again. So they furthered the laws. They amended some of the laws and made them even harsher. All right. But it created the white people. This is when they referred to whites, the European or the lighter skinned people, as white, is because they wanted them to identify more with the people up here, the elites, instead of the people that they lived with, because all them slaves and indentured servants lived together. This is recorded in history. You can look it up. The blacks and whites lived together, just like, and the natives lived together like how we are today, living all together in the same. Wasn't no redlining, none of that. If you were not the elite, you lived with the common folk. And if you was an indentured servant and a slave, these are your quarters over here. You guys are all together. You're the same. But when they said, okay, now look, after Bacon, now you're white. Okay. So you don't got to stay here. You could go over there. Even though it's the same shit, it's just you're not with these guys anymore. Now we're going to put the separation and make you think that you're not like them. The working class white man today and back in the past, and the working class white woman and the working class black man and black woman have more in common with each other than the white people that are working class have with the elite. And they separated that by making them think, well, we're white, so we don't have anything in common with these people. Yeah, you go to the same stores, you buy the same food, you got the same taxation, you got everything is the same, but they created the division. And it's lingered on to today. It's lingered on to today. You got real quick, like a person to be quick to call a black person a nigga, or a black person to call a white person a cracker, or however you want to look at it, because they think that they're somehow separate. So who cares? There's a black, now they got this negative stigma on black. Black is bad, black is slave, black is violent, black man take your daughter and do something to her in the barn, all types of crazy shit. And it's only to create the divide so that another Bacon's Rebellion will never happen, where you got all people that are on the lower level coming together and saying, we ain't going for this no more. We see what you're doing to us. But now there's no more us. There's us as black, you as white, and you're just like them. See
What's
what
it called? Bacon's Rebellion?
Bacon's Rebellion. Look it up.
BACON?
Yep. Bacon. Like bacon.
Bacon.
Yep.
Ironically, then they police whatever. Anyways,
I'm telling you, bro, it's real interesting. If you go back and you start reading this, and I challenge you to go and look at a lot of different lectures that are given at these campuses, and from before, not like today's liberals, but the 1990s era of liberal, where they had common sense and was really trying to unite people and stop the racial division and all of that. Them are the ones that are the most interesting to me, and they're the most informative, and they cite everything of where you can get the books to read, and it's just like, damn, how come we're not taught none of this? How come you only hear about a white slave owner? How come they don't talk about Madam Johnson? How come they don't talk about the I forget the native guy's name that had a big ass slave plantation? How come they don't talk about anybody other than white?
They cannot allow the proletariat to rise up.
Exactly. So all of that shit's important to understand where we are today and why, like, a lot of the, well, I'm not going to say a lot, but some black people in this country have a stigma of, like they got that victim shit. Like, we made it through so much. But on the other side, you don't see Irishmen that come from a line of people that were indentured servants that had to work their ass off, or actual perpetual slaves, because there was Irish people that were perpetual slaves as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, once you start to see this shit, you could see where the division starts to happen and how they created the victimhood and how they created the mentality in the minds of all American people. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Down to the present, like, what was it, the 60s when they started redlining? Or no, yeah, like the 60s, something like that. I got the book back there. I got to read it again. But they were doing the redlining, and it was the same thing. We work at the same factory, white man. We work at the same factory, black man. You can't move into my neighborhood because you's a nigga. Real estate agent, don't rent to niggas. Not in this area. That was what they literally told them. Why? Because then people will start to relate with each other. And they're like, oh shit, we got a lot in common. I like Daryl. I fucking like Brad. I like Brad. He's all right. You know what I'm saying? And you start to, you get just like what is today. Look at me and you. We should have never fucking met, according to like how statistics go. Like, one of my best friends, you're my daughter's fucking godfather. You feel me?
Yeah.
And it ain't got shit to do with this. We make jokes, like me and you, we joke around a lot racially, but
yeah,
it's what friends do. We joke, we talk shit. And if we could get everybody else to be on that kind of page, then it's a game changer. This is why I say we don't differentiate ourselves. Like, we don't separate ourselves to the point where we can't have a conversation with the other side.
Well, I can always have the conversation in person. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, the social media divide has gotten to the point where it's like, this isn't going to do anything anymore. And honestly, I find it funny that like there is the leftists, the trolls will come in and be like, I'm racist, I'm whatever, despite you being on here. But it's so funny because the people that I like, if I'm at a store, if I'm at a bank or whatever, the people that I have the most fun with, and I believe they have the most fun with me, typically are black people. Like, it's hilarious. Like, they're just, there's a spirit.
We're cool.
Cool. There's a spirit to black people that's just different. Like, and it's just, that's why I like black speakers often more than white speakers, because I think that there's more soul in the way they do things.
Flavor, bro. Look what we did with Christianity. I mean, we turn up, bro. We turn up.
That's good. All right, we're at 30 minutes. We're gonna be doing something with Casey later, probably around 6. That's the goal, and then I'm gonna make dinner after. But we'll do it. We'll go over these things. We're gonna do a lot this week, obviously, with the RNC. In fact, there's a big deal. Yes, the black man, was it Johnson? Johnson was the first slave owner, right?
No, he wasn't the first. He was probably the first, maybe black slave owner recorded or something, but he wasn't the first slave owner. The first slave owners in America was Europeans and natives.
I thought he was the first recorded slave owner was a black guy. I always thought that was the story.
I have to look into it. I can't really say for sure. I'd have to go back and look, but it doesn't matter. There was a bunch other people other than Johnson, is my point. Like, there was a bunch. They just don't talk about them. If you look into history, you'll be fucking shocked. You will be shocked, bro. But then the other thing that really blows my mind is they don't look at the people that had successful lives. Like, you go back and you look into the 1700s, when Benjamin Banneker was enlisted, and Benjamin Banneker's mother was or grandmother was an Irish woman. She was Irish, and she taught him to read and write. They owned their own tobacco farm. His father was black, his mother was white, and or mixed, or however you want to look at it. But they owned their own tobacco farm and came and got enlisted by Washington's cousin to go insert Elliot Prescott or some shit, I believe his name was, if I'm not mistaken, came to enlist him to come help him survey the land for Washington, D.C. He got paid a nice little chunk of change for that. Benjamin Banneker. And he was black. And he was free. Was never a slave.
It's interesting. There's arguments whether or not he was the first slave owner, because at the time it was the terminology of using slave. It went from indentured servant to slave at this point in 1621. So they're saying that he was actually an indentured servant that became the first actual slave owner. But then there's a fact check that says otherwise. But
but fuck them fact checks, bro. You could go back and read diaries from people. There's a lot of shit out there, especially today in the information age. You can go back and read all types of stuff. There was a bunch of people that after they became freed from being indentured servants, became slave owners. And they were of all colors. It wasn't just white people. The only thing that changed is when they created these laws, these anti-miscegenation laws and other laws, it prevented black success after Bacon's Rebellion. They did not want blacks to be successful because they needed the ruling class. That's why they didn't like black people that got too smart after that, because they needed a lower class. They created this hierarchy in America. And this is where when you talk to liberals, they have a point in saying that America is systemically racist. And it's because of laws that got passed, like the anti-miscegenation law. That was a literal racist law that was geared towards black people. So there is an instance of systemic racism as we go through America, and you can go back and look at all the different kind of laws that go through, but it doesn't. This is where I will make the debate against them. It does not hold you back unless you fall into the trap. If you fall into the trap of it, yeah, it's gonna hold you back. Yes, it might be a little harder for you to get ahead because of the things that have transpired in the past, and you born into a ghetto. 100%. You got to face different kind of challenges. 100%. But you can rise up, and we've seen it time and time again. Time and time again. So I don't believe in anything can hold me back. I don't believe in the victimhood. I don't believe in none of that. You got to get past it. You didn't live there. You live now. And right now, a lot of people died for you to be able to make a way however you want to make it. So take advantage. That's my thing.
Only thing holding you back is from playing in the NBA because you're short. All right. Let's see. We'll see everybody later.
I could play baseball without a bat.
So you want to be touching balls with your... All right.
Mm-hmm.
You said it, not me. We'll see you guys we'll see in a little bit. I don't know, in case he's ready.
Peace.